Thank you for watching the PDP on YouTube. This video will teach you today what to do with your silhouette and getting to know your silhouette 101 basically. So you got a silhouette for Christmas or your birthday or holiday, or you got a silhouette because everybody else has one and you want to make stickers or vinyl or something too. But where do you start? So I just want to go over what all this stuff means basically. So the first thing we're going to cover is what happens if you actually create something and your computer shuts down, because that's what they do. So you would go to File and you would open Recovered. And over here on the right is where you'll find everything. If you've created things and your computer shut down, it has recovered it. Normally it recovers it if it's been opened for a certain amount of time, so you should be able to recover your things easily. You also have Open Recent, so if you worked on something recently, it would open it. You have your print page setup, scanning, so you can use your pick scan and stuff. Your library, so that you have stuff in your library, how to import and stuff. Your Silhouette Design Store takes you to the Silhouette Design Store online so that you can order stuff and download it straight into your Silhouette library. You can import. I don't really know how to use this download pending orders, but that's okay. You have Edit, View, so you can turn on your grid or turn off your grid, and I did that by going to View and Show Grid. And then it also gives you grid options if you want to use that. So I'm going to turn the grid off because I usually don't use it. Your Show Print Border is normally a gray line that goes around this, and then your Show Cut Border is the red border right here. So if you're printing inserts or whatever and you're not going to use these registration marks, then you can turn off your cut border, because if you're not going to cut it, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to print and cut, then whatever's inside the gray is what it's going to print on, and whatever is inside the red line is what will cut. So if you need more space than what this automatically allows, you have to adjust your cut settings, and I can show you that in another video. This is just your silhouette, so if you want to send it to the silhouette through this, all of these options are also up here as shortcuts to the right, so you'll want to use those instead. I never go over here. Okay, so then you have Move, Scale. All of this stuff is also over here, so I can show you how to do that. You can use Group. You can also use Control or Command G, and then you can also right-click. And when you have something on here, if you right-click, it gives you the option of grouping. So you can hit Group. I'll explain that in another video too. And then you have the User's Manual Agreement. You can check for updates. Go to silhouette.com, go to their homepage, and you can upgrade your Silhouette Studio on here if you want to. And then that just is about your studio. So then over here, I'm going to close this. There's a little arrow right here, so you can close this. You have more room. This down below shows you have a tab open. If you want to open a new tab, you go up to the top left to this blank sheet of paper, click that, and at the bottom it opens up a new tab, so that you don't have to worry about how to open up a new one. And then this is your pick scan. I don't normally use a pick scan, so I don't have knowledge on that so much. This is all pick scan related. This is to save it, and this is an SD card. If you wanted to save it on an SD card, you could. This is a print option. What I do is go over here to print, but this is a print option. I just don't know if it allows you to set up your... Oh, it does. So it opens up the same box. It's just a shortcut. This is sending it to the silhouette, which we also do over on the right far side, so I'll show you how to do that. This is to paste, so if you wanted to paste something, or you could do Control or Command V. And then this is your hand, so I'm just going to make a shape. Just ignore that. So if you have a hand and you want to pan it, you can do that. So you can pan it all over the place. So what happens is, when I'm making stuff, sometimes I set it over to the side, but sometimes it's too much stuff, so I just have to pan over. But every time you want to pan, you have to hit it. Okay, and then plus is of course plus, minus minimizes it, And then this lovely little tool right here, it's drag over shape to zoom. So if you have a small item and you want to zoom in, you click on it, click where you want to zoom, and it zooms in. If you need to zoom in a little bit more for detail, you click it again and it'll zoom into that spot. To get this back to full screen view, you click on this and that centers it and puts it right back to where it's full screen and perfect. This right here is so if you click it, you can scroll with your mouse, and then once you click, it's done. So you, well, maybe it is. And so that's those over on the left. Over on the right, you have fill box. So this opens your color window, and then you can open advanced. And if you know your hex codes or your RGB codes, then you can put them over here as well. This is also where you adjust your transparency. So if you fill a box and then you want to cover it with a transparent film, then this is where you would adjust that transparency for that box. This I never use, but this is gradient window fill, so you can do gradient stuff. This I use all the time, and this is, I use the advanced options. So you can open up this, advanced options, scroll down. This is where you can pan and scale your patterns, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. I don't usually use this, but this is tinting effects, colorizing, gamma, inverting, and stuff like that. I don't ever use it, but you're welcome to play around with it. This is your offset. Everybody talks about offsets, and so now you know. So here's an offset. So say we have this box, and here's offset. You click. It puts a line around the outside. If you hit cancel and you do internal offset, it typically puts a, it might not be, I didn't select it. This is a live video, guys. So if you hit internal offset, it puts a line on the inside. So then I cancel it. So that is your offset. And you can adjust how much offset you want to do over here. Then your line color. So if I have a line and I want to change the color to purple, it changes the line color. And then if I wanted to make it a dotted line or any type of other line, then I select this area and I select whatever. And if you look over to the left, it changed it, and it makes it wider and wider and wider. And then to adjust the thickness, you would use the thickness, the line thickness tool. This is your font. Your A is your font. And so it gives you all your selection for what font you want to use. And then if you want it centered, left, right, full, your text size, your character spacing is wonderful. So let me show you how to do this. If you go over to the left, there's an A that matches the other A. Select that, click in the middle of the screen, it's going to pull this up. So if I have me, I can do one of two things. I can highlight it like this, or I can unclick and I can just click the box. So I click the box and I go down to a font. Okay, and so I have the font like this. If I wanted to do it on two different lines, so you see how it is, then I could go over here, I could choose to center it, and then if I want to put a picture in the middle, but I want it all to still be the same, I would go down here to the right where it says line spacing, and then I would push it further open, and if you see, it changes the spacing in the middle. So that's really wonderful. And then if I needed to spread my word out, I would do character spacing. So this is really great if you want to practice letters and stuff like that. You can type up something that you want to trace, like Mama Loves Lettering. And then you would have a sheet that you could print on that it's all spaced out and perfect. Just an example. And then you could just set this back to 100 if you just wanted to do it normal. Pretty much anything you do is fixable. And then change your font size. You can change it quite a bit. And then, like I said, go up here and zoom into it with this zoom button. So that is your font section. Also, if you wanted to change it from horizontal to vertical, you have to click on it and then choose vertical, and it changes it. Very easy. This I don't ever use, but it's your distances and stuff like that. This I use all the time. So if you're making a box, and say you have this box, and you want to put something in the box, but you want it sideways, so you would click on the box, click on the words, and then choose one of these. So I choose 90, and then I could take that and I could put it inside, if that makes sense. And then if I want them both the other way, then I could go over here and I could choose 90 the other way and it turns it. So lots of options to change stuff that way. Here is your scaling, so it determines what size stuff is. If you click on this box is currently 2.7 inches by 0.632 inches. So to lock aspect, which is really important, if you're making an Erin Condren box, you want to unclick this, change the width to 1.5 and the length to 1.9. I did that backwards. Didn't I? Oh, because it's rotated. See? So if you rotate it, you have to pay attention to that. So that right there, if you rotate it back, that's an Erin Condren box. So this is where you would adjust your size, is right here. And you want to lock aspect if, for instance, you have a circle and you have it and you want to resize it, they're both the same size. But if you don't lock aspect and you do 0.5, it's going to change it. See? So it's no longer a circle. But if you did it, so sorry, my computer just made a zing. But if you lock it and then change it to 0.5, then it adjusts it evenly. Hope that helps. And then you can scale. So you can scale 100, or you can just change it however you'd like. And then this is your aligning stuff. So say I have this circle and I put it inside the box. And I think that looks centered. I would highlight both of them, go over here to the center button, and behold, I did not have it centered. So I fix it, it's centered, it looks great. If I want to align it to the left, I'll click Align Left, Align Center. So if you have a heading up top, right? But you don't want it in the center of the page, which is what that top center button does. You would click on both, Align Center, and it aligns it horizontally. If instead you want it aligned in the middle, so say it's over here, but you want it aligned vertically, you would do this one. Or align at the top, or align at the bottom, or center it. Spacing horizontally and vertically, what that means is, ignore this part. If you have 4 items, you select all 4 items, select vertically, and it spaces them vertically. Select horizontally. If you're doing vertical, that does not work. So don't do it that way. But if you put them up here and you have them horizontally, you would select all of them and do horizontal, and then that spaces them evenly this way. I hope that makes sense. You can center to the page, so if you have an item and you want to center it to the page, it will bring it straight center. I think that pretty much covers that section. This is a duplication tool. So if you have an item, such as the box, and you want to duplicate it, this is the section that you would use. Duplicate it to the left, it goes to the left. Duplicate it to the right, it duplicates to the right. If you want to take all 3 of them and duplicate below, then you have more below. So that's easy way to duplicate. You can also, if you have something, let's see. If you have something like this box, okay, but you need this part to be facing the other direction, then you go back to the duplication, which is the flower up here, and you do mirror right, and then it mirrors it so that it's on the opposite side. You can mirror above, you can mirror below, and you can mirror left. So that's really simple. Excuse me. You can rotate it. So you have the rotate 1 copy, 5 copies, if that's 5 copies. So you have a nice little design. You can rotate 3 copies. You can rotate 2 copies. You can rotate one copy. And then you can do a row of 3, a row of 4, or you can do a column. So a row of 4 is, of course, a row of 4. A column of 3 is a column. So very easy. Or you can fill the entire page with it, which is very nice. I hope that helps. The advanced settings I don't really use, numbers of copies and things, because I use that on my printer. So I don't really use that. This is Weld. This will help you tremendously if you want to do certain stuff. So if you have a shape, you can take it and connect it. The two shapes have to be touching, so it can just be touching a little if that's what you want. And if you wanted to make something, you take all 3 shapes and go here and hit Weld, and then you have one solid shape. So that's how a lot of people weld stuff together. You also have intersect. I don't know what that does. I've never used it, I'm going to be honest. You have subtract, crop. So if we crop, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. It makes it all go away except for those 2 little spots. Subtract and divide, detach, make, and release. I don't really use these. The only one I really use is Weld. So I hope that helps at least. This is your trace area. We'll go over that further in another video, but this is where you trace items and can take them outside of their white background and stuff to do stuff. So we'll go over that in another video. These are your settings. So your page setting you want to set up. You can do custom, or you can just set it up. Portrait or landscape. Portrait changes it to up and down, of course, and then you could hit this button, bring it center. Or landscape makes it landscape. And then you can rotate your view if you want, however. And then your cutting mat. I don't typically use a cutting mat, but this is where you would select a portrait or a cameo or whatever type of mat you're using if you're using a Pixscan. And then this is your show cut border and shut print border, which is what I showed you up top over here. So this would turn off your print border, and this would turn off your cut border. So then we'll go to the next one, which is the 4 squares on the page, 4 sections on a page. These are your registration marks. This is where you would choose what type of machine you have. So if you have a portrait, a cameo, or if you want them off. If you turn them off, they're gone. So just turn them back on, they go on. I don't mess with the dimensions part. I do mess with these. My machine is temperamental, so I typically set mine to 711, 0.711, and 0.711. The right inset I don't normally change, just because that's the bottom of the page and it won't change if you don't use a mat. And then you can change it back to default or inverted. I don't do either one of those, and I don't restore my defaults, but you can. This I don't use, but it's your spacings, divisions, your grid, your snap to grid. If you want your items to snap to the grid, you can make it that way. This is your page where you would go to cut your stuff. So normally this looks a little bit different. I click advanced, and then my colors and stuff show up here, and I select how I want to cut things. This down here is the material in which you're going to cut. So if you're doing cardstock or vinyl, a lot of the times you can use the default settings. For cardstock, I typically change my blade to 3, and then I leave these down here the same. You can scroll down, maybe, and you can go to user defined and add a plus mark. I do kiss cut, perforation cut, and final cut. I'll be happy to share my settings. My kiss cut setting is blade 2, speed 10, thickness 4. If you want to take a screenshot of that, you're welcome to. My perforation cut is blade 2, speed 10, thickness 15. And that's just if I'm adding a perforation to be able to fold a page. And then my final cut is blade 2, speed 10, thickness 13. I find with stickers, if you find just the right cut settings, it doesn't matter if you have your speed full open. It works just fine. Then you can also send a test cut on your page just to make sure that it's not going to cut through and make confetti for you. because I've had that happen a million times too. And then once you hit to send a silhouette, it's going to take you to this last tab over here where it should automatically register, or you can hit start. And then if a whole bunch of people have told you what calibrating is, if you right click on this, you can choose these points: the right calibration, distance adjustments, manual registration, automatic. So this is where you would go to find calibration. You go to the start menu or start button on the cutting where you would send it to your silhouette and hit calibration. That's much more detailed than I'm going to go into this video, but I did want to let you know that. You can also do some options down at the very bottom of the page. If you see, you can group selected items. I don't ever use these just because I have all the shortcuts, but this is definitely where you can start if you'd like. So this is selecting all the items. This is how you can duplicate and such. This is how you can send things from the front to the back and so forth. And then this is offsetting. But again, those settings are up top where you would find all the others. I hope that this has been helpful for you. Oh, let's go over this real quick. Okay, so right here you have your select tool. So this is your default where you would stay. Then you have your line tool, your points. Let me show you that. So this is your square tool or your shape tool. You can make any type of square shape, rectangle shape, etc. If you want it to be a perfect square, you would hold down your shift button and that would make it perfect. So then I was going to show you, I'll go back to the pointer, then I'm going to hit the points, click on this. So what that does, this little mouse cursor with the points on it, it brings you points so that you can pull your box and shape your box however you want, just so that you're aware of that. Then this is your line tool, just draws a line. Again, if you want a straight line, you would hit the shift button, hold this shift button down while you do it. This is the rounded edges instead of square edges, and then this is the oval or the circle. So depending on whether you hold the shift key down or not depends on what shape you get. And then this is lines. So you would draw one line, click the mouse to set it, draw another line, click the mouse to set it, draw another line, click the mouse to set it. So then the next one is rounded, whereas that one is very rigid, this one is very fluid. It zigzags. Hope that helps. And then this is your pen. I don't ever use this because it doesn't really make sense. And then this is another one, whereas this is rigid, this is more flowy. So you can trace items and stuff like that if you wanted to trace shapes or something. And then this one is like a, what are those things called? Spiro something? That's what that is. And then this is your octagon shape. I'm going to clear all this. Hang on one second. This is your octagon shape if you wanted to do an octagon. The little trick to this is there's a little bar in the middle. So you could choose to pull it down. So if you need a triangle, it goes down to 3, 5, it goes all the way up to a circle. So you can make a full circle or just fun shapes. So that's the octagon tool over here to the left. And then like I showed you earlier, there is a font tool. So you just click on it, click on the page, and type something. And I had rotated it. So just a font tool. And then this is an eraser. If you wanted to erase something, you could just erase it. And the other option is whether you want a solid line or an outline. So if you want the line to stay intact, you choose solid. If you want it to disappear, you would use outline. And then the cut tool, let me see. If you have a long box or long line and you select the cut tool, you can cut it in half. And you can hit shift to make it a straight line. So then now you have 2 pieces instead of 1. Hope that helps. This is your screen view, so this, and then this takes you to your library. This takes you to the silhouette store, this little S here. And then I don't ever use these, but this is your show library and this is show your screen and your library. So if you click on this, you have your library over here, your cutting stuff over here, and your screen in the middle. Alright, so that's basically getting to know your silhouette. I just close that out and then I'm down to 1. And that's all. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments or questions down below and I will get back with you. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.